All right, friends, we've gotten a chance to read our poem, The Red Wheelbarrow. We inferred how the speaker felt about the red wheelbarrow and how we knew that. We're going to quickly discuss some other things that we can learn about the poem, and then we are going to practice a vocabulary strategy. So here we have our poem, The Red Wheelbarrow, in the middle, and I want you guys to take a moment to read it here on your screen. I'll read it one more time out loud. And how are the stanzas or the groups of lines alike? We're going to have that here in red. And how are they different? We're going to have that here in blue. So we're going to read this one more time and think, what do you see that's the same, or what do you see that's different? The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Now that we read this poem, we can think, what do we notice about the stanzas? Or actually, before we jump into stanzas, we notice that none of these lines, none of the words in the poem rhyme. Depends doesn't rhyme with upon. Wheel doesn't rhyme with barrow. Rain doesn't rhyme with water. And white definitely doesn't rhyme with chickens. So we already have a clue here that one way that they're different is that the stanzas do not rhyme. We are used to thinking about poems rhyming, but sometimes the author finds different ways to be creative without using rhyme. And in this poem, this happens to be an example where the lines do not rhyme. We also don't see any words that are repeated in this poem. We know that the red wheelbarrow is important because so much depends on it, but we don't know that because it says red wheelbarrow over and over. It only mentions the red wheelbarrow in stanza 2. That was why we had to practice inferring to determine what was so important about this poem, what was important about the red wheelbarrow. And that was a little harder skill that we practiced today, but we did a great job, and we were able to find out what was important, even though there are no words that repeat. Each stanza, too, has its own subject or has its own idea, main topic about what it's mostly about. So much depends upon is totally different than a red wheelbarrow. We know that so much depends upon that red wheelbarrow because the red wheelbarrow is important. Then we look at the last two stanzas, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. These last two stanzas no longer tell me about why the red wheelbarrow is important. So each of the stanzas is about something different. Now let's think about how they are alike. We know that we have many stanzas, 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas. Each stanza has 1, 2 lines. We also notice that each stanza, if we look at the first line, each first line has 3 words, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. While the second line only has 1, 1, 1, 1. Because we see how all the stanzas match with the 2 lines, 3 on top, 1 on the bottom, we can say that each of the stanzas are shaped the same way. So maybe the poem doesn't rhyme, but the author found a way to express why the red wheelbarrow is important by creating his own shape in the stanzas. All of the stanzas have 2 lines, and each of the first lines has 3 words, while each of the second line only has 1 word. This it almost makes it look like it's a wheelbarrow. Like here we have the barrel and here we have the handles. Because that first line is a little longer, it sticks out like the handle of the wheelbarrow, and then we have the bucket part where we put things inside. So we see I will draw it so it's easier to see. We see how the shape of the poems tells us more about the red wheelbarrow. Whoops. So I'm going to try to color these stanzas to show you the shape and to show you how the shape is the same on each one and how the shape tells us or reflects what it's mostly about. So then I'll draw my handles here. And oh my goodness, all of a sudden we have a red wheelbarrow. Draw that wheel there at the front. And all of a sudden we have a red wheelbarrow. We know this because all the stanzas are shaped the same way. That is one way that they are alike or similar. While there's many ways that there is different, one of the ways that the author uses his own inspiration or creativity is not by using rhyme, but by using his own shape to the stanzas. Now let's get ready to practice a vocabulary strategy. We have talked about before how we can find the meaning of words that we don't know using a dictionary, using context clues, plugging it in, or breaking it apart. Today, we're going to continue to practice the plug it in strategy. We remember our steps from using this strategy before are to find the word, reread the sentence, cover up that word that we're trying to find the meaning of, and plug in what makes sense. The word that we are looking for today is glazed. So let's find the word glazed in the poem. We don't always have to read the whole text to find the word. So we're looking for the word glazed, which is located in stanza 3. I'm going to underline that for you. There is the word glazed. So we are done with step 1. We don't have a sentence, but we can reread the stanza for step 2. Glazed with rainwater. We know that the thing that is glazed with rainwater is the red wheelbarrow. So now I want to cover up the word and plug in something that makes sense. So I'm going to move my box to cover up that word. That did not work. All right, let's try covering up our word one more time so that we can plug in the meaning for the word glaze. There we go. So we were able to find the word in the poem. We were able to reread the stanza that it's in. And now we're covering up the word so that we can plug in what makes sense. Whoops. Okay. So we know the wheelbarrow is the thing that is glazed with rainwater. So if it's glazed, is it like a donut? Is it sweet and covered with sugar? No, rainwater is not sweet and covered with sugar, and neither is a red wheelbarrow. Those are not things that we can eat. So it's not that it's glazed like a donut. But glazed, what if we think about that picture of the branch that we saw earlier and how that branch was glazed with glimmer? It had ice on it, and the reason that we said it was glazed was because it looks shiny. So now that if we think about our poem and we think about rainwater, when rain falls on things outside, can rain make things shiny? Yes. So let's try plugging in that meaning into the word that we covered up. A red wheelbarrow, shiny with rainwater. That makes sense. So I can say that if I try, let's try doing the sugary or sweet. A red wheelbarrow, sugary and sweet with rainwater. That doesn't make sense because like we said, rainwater and wheelbarrows are not things that we can eat or put sugar on. So we know that the best meaning to plug in for this word is shiny. A red wheelbarrow, shiny with rainwater. If I could, let's see, looking for my mouse, if it will appear on my computer to, there we go. So for my box down below, glazed means shiny. And then in the next video, like you guys saw, since my computer is giving me problems, we are going to take a look at our exit ticket questions all about the red wheelbarrow, where you will have to talk about what the word glazed means and use when we practice inferring to answer some questions. So now that we practiced plugging it in, we talked about how the stanzas are similar. Make sure that you watch the next video so that you know how to do your exit ticket.